Hi everyone, Luke Hector here from the Broken Meeple, and this is the Tap 100, continuing with my 40 to 21. I'm exhausted from the gym, but I've still just about got enough energy to get this video out because I need to get it done preferably before Tabletop Scotland, certainly this weekend, where I'll see some of you guys there, hopefully. Well, basically this is the last of the 20 batch videos. I've done 100 to 80, 80 to 61, well, 100 to whatever, 181, 80 to 61. And now we have the, nope, 60 to 41 we've done, that's already uploaded. So this is now the 40 to 21. We're in the top half of the list. This is, like, we're almost at the creme de la creme of games I like. And these ones, wow. I mean, this is certainly an interesting setup here. I mean, I'm looking at the list here and we've got 8 new debuts. 8 new games have managed to hit the top half of the list in this section, and there's still another 2 more in the next batch, and then who knows in the final top 10. But yeah, a lot of new games hit home, you know, in the last year or so, or sometimes in the last month or so. Actually, there've been some recent ones here, and a few, you know, mostly stable with the others, but 1 or 2 drops. But yeah, I think you're going to be quite impressed with some of the new debuts, because I know some of you were thinking, oh, there was a lot of light games on the last batch, wasn't there? Yeah, no, I mean, I like light games as much as heavy games, but I think you're going to get your money's worth of heavy games on this list, or at least medium to heavyweight games. So without further ado, let's kickstart with my number 40, and yeah, the heavy game hasn't quite started yet, guys. We're going to start with a nice mellow one. Nice light one. This one is my pick of the bunch, I believe, for all of those polyomino games. You know, the Tetris style pieces, putting them in various places. You know, everybody's got a favourite. I was just reading the top 10 list from the Game Shelf. The ladies who write that, go check it out. It's an interesting top 10 list. But, you know, it's a written version. But on there was Cottage Garden. And really? Seriously? That's like one of my least favourites out of all the polyomino ones. But I was confused why they didn't have BARENPARK as their top choice, because BARENPARK is just amazing. It's a great game. It's so easy to teach, so easy to play, looks nice on the table. Yes, it has no theme. I don't care. It's bears. I like bears. You know, that doesn't help me love the game, but, you know, bears are cool. But it just flows so smoothly and is like one of my go-to gateway games to teach people into the new hobby. It's like, have you ever played Tetris before? Do you know about, like, you know, trying to slot things into spaces? Do you like bears? Well, here's a gateway game for you. And I've recently just upgraded it with the expansion. Was it like Beware of Bears? I can't remember. It's got some stupid tagline for an expansion. And the expansion's good, but, well, that'll come in an anthology review soon. I mean, the expansion is good, but it takes it out of that gateway level area. It takes it out of a filler category. It sort of adds more for gamers than it does for new people. But I still like the expansion in it. But I mean, even just the base set alone, you take out those new things like the monorails and that, I'll be perfectly happy with this game. I have taught this countless amount of times at events. In fact, there's an event happening in 2 weeks' time. I suspect I'll be teaching it there as well. It just works so well. It has to make my top 100, and easily is easy to see why it makes the top half, because even though I have played it to death, I still get a blast from playing this quick, cool filler, BARENPARK. And BARENPARK last time was, I'm not going to forget the stats this time, was 39, so it's literally dropped 1 place. You know, that's how stable it is in my life. And, which is a bit of a weird switch from the other one, because the next one on the list is 39, and it was 40. So BARENPARK and this one have effectively swapped places, as if that really makes any of a difference. But you wanted a heavy game, guys. I know you've been waiting. Well, here's a heavy game. It involves cars. It used to be my favourite Lacerda game, but it isn't anymore. But it is still a quality game, and that is Kanban Automotive Revolution, I believe it is. I've got the Driver's Edition somewhere around. Actually, I'm curious, where is my... Oh yeah, it's all the way up that end. But this used to be my favourite Lacerda game. The main thing that drops it down below the other Lacerda game is that it's a bit harder to teach and a bit harder to sort of get to grasp what you're supposed to be doing. But the game itself is amazing. I love it. I mean, you've got that busy board, but it really brings out that theme of working in a car factory, where you got to get the designs, you got to get the parts, you got to assemble the car, and then you got to test it out and see if it's any good. Upgrade it with some better parts, and then you've got your manager's meeting at the end of the week where you got to present your findings and say, look, I've met these objective goals. all the while you're having to dodge that annoying Sandra who is constantly hopping from place to place, getting in your way. You can play her in nice or mean mode. Personally, always play her in mean mode. I think it's just, I mean, it doesn't really hurt you that badly in mean mode, you know, once you get up to speed, but it is more thematic and a bit more amusing to have like the mean boss, because that's kind of what you think of real life. You know, most people have got that one boss at work that they can't stand. And basically, she hops from place to place and she's marking you. It's like, did you have enough parts here? Deduct 3 points. You know, it's like, you hate her. She's an annoying character, but she's just great to use. It's a great mechanic, wonderful theme, and it's heavy. It's a heavy game. Anybody who says otherwise is just like, what? Excuse me? But you've got plenty to get on with here, plenty to plan ahead for. It's sort of worker placement, but it's kind of more of an action selection game. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like a hybrid of the two, but it just works for me. Only problem I have with it is, like I say, it's a bit hard to teach it, and the box is too small. It's Stronghold's like thin boxes that they have. It's like, seriously, when they printed the driver's edition, could they not have made a bigger box? Word on the grapevine, though, is that in a couple of years, I suspect, we will get wind of an Eagle Griffin version of Kanban. Yes. Anyway, that's for a long time coming. It's still great now. 38, we now had the first new debut, and this, looking at my list, I love theming games. Theme is something I go for. Doesn't matter what the theme is necessary. Well, actually, it doesn't matter what the theme's about to an extent. You know, I mean, I don't really get into war themes. I don't really care about historical themes that much. And certainly any theme you try and scrape out of the barrel for something about trains, you know, not wanting to, I can't even get the words out. It's so boring. But this is easily one of the most, if not the most thematic game I own. It is also the darkest game I own. And, you know, you can say Cthulhu is dark, but no, Cthulhu is horror fantasy. It's not really like reality. Yeah, you know, horrific stuff happens in it, but it's fantasy. It's made up like monsters and aliens. You know, it's not grounded in reality. This one, though, is. This War of Mine has shot to my 38. This is, oh my god, it's dark. I mean, I like dark themes. I like dark comedies and that, and I absolutely adore Black Mirror at the moment. I'm watching through all the series. I think I'm up to season 4, halfway through at the time of recording this video. Maybe I'm a bit further. Last one I watched was Hang the DJ, which, note to self, don't ever register for a dating application like that, even though I'm single. But, this game is so wonderful to play solo. It's not one I want to play with others ever, really, because it just would take too long, downtime's too much. The fact you can play it with 6 players just sounds moronic. But as a solo experience, a solo story-driven experience, it's amazing. It's just pure survival. You are these civilians, basic, honest working civilians, and you're thrown into the situation where, you know, you have to scrounge for food, water, weapons to keep yourself defended at night, border up windows, shelter from the cold, you know, cook spam in a pan while, you know, shivering around a heater, trying to stay awake, not fall ill, get meds, trade with outsiders, you know, bring more people come to visit, you might even bring them into your group, and scavenging in the evenings where you go through a deck of cards and, you find like, which I think you find like locked doors and secret basements and, you know, hobos in the street, and you might go to a hospital, you might go to there's so much theme packed into this game. It is a brilliant port of the computer game, which is also a really cool experience. Whether you prefer tabletop to computer is entirely up to you. I like both. I mean, I can put the soundtrack on when I play this game, and I always do. This War of Mine soundtrack, it's so nice and sort of mellow and melancholy. It's really nice. But the computer game is still cool as well, so I can really take one or the other. But it's certainly, like, it deserved to fly this high. If I have any issues with it at all, it's the fact that it's quite long. But you can save it in mid-progress relatively easily. And the scenario sheets I like to use because they tend to make the game shorter while possibly even a little bit more challenging. It's a hard game, there's a bit of luck involved, but the stories you come out with, I mean, they're dark. Do not play this if you're, you know, a little bit uneasy about like really dark war survival themes, because it really does try to tug at your heartstrings at times, or overstep some boundaries that I wouldn't put anywhere near children. You know, this is the game you want with your kids. But, theme dripping off this game. Love it. 38, This War of Mine. Well done, Awakened Realms. Well, actually, saying that, it's the first and probably the only Awakened Realms game to hit my top 100. So well done, you've made your debut onto my list. Hopefully some of your future games like Ether Fields and Tainted Grail are going to wow me as well. I've not played Lords of Hellas, by the way. I would love to. Somebody want to teach me Lords of Hellas? Then please do, because I reckon that would probably be a good one as well. Okay, number 37 has dropped 5 places. Whatever. 5 places when you get to this top of the half is really not a big deal. You know, we're talking games at this level. You know, for the most of my top 10 lists, sorry, top 100, they're all 8 and above, as I said. And the bottom sort of 20 or so, I mean, let me scroll down a bit. Yeah, you get to about, say, 70, between 60 and 70. The games sort of fade out of the rating of 8 and go into the rating of 9s. When you start getting to, you know, part of the way through this chunk of 20 and upwards, you start going from strong 9s to 10s. I mean, these games I love. You know, just the fact that it falls 1 or 2 places really isn't a big deal. But this one is if you've seen some of my earlier videos, you see me going, oh, I love to throw these dice, they're so amazing. It's Seasons, right there. Seasons is a phenomenal sort of fantasy-esque drafting game. Well, not drafting. Well, actually, it is sort of drafting. You're drafting at the start of the game for your cards, but during the game, you're drafting these dice, these wonderful dice. I want to get them out and show it again. No, behave. You've got to focus on the top 100. But these bolder dice are so satisfying to throw. I mean, if Seasons ever becomes an app, I'm probably never going to play the app because I want those dice. You can't take those dice away from me. But it's a magic tournament where you've got 3 years to basically summon a bunch of magic artifacts and familiar creatures and basically get, you know, VPs, crystals as they were, while dealing with your opponent's effects that might hinder you. But it's it's got a kind of Magic the Gathering feel of summoning creatures and generating the mana of 4 different elements. But what I love about this game, other than the dice, is the fact that it goes in a timer as it goes around the year. And when you're in certain rounds, you throw different colored dice because you're in winter, summer, autumn, and spring. And the idea is that the dice have different types of mana on them. You know, some are more common and some are more rare, depending on what season you're in. But there are cards that can jiggle around the timeline, so you might end up going backwards. It is a Magic tournament after all. And on top of that, the dice you leave behind, and I love this in games where the dice you leave behind in the draft makes a difference. It tells you how much you accelerate the timer by. So not only are you thinking, well, I'm going to take that dice because it gives me the mana or a card or something, but it's like, I don't want to head into spring yet. I'm good with winter. If I leave that die behind now, we're going to be in spring. I'm not going to get that mana easily. You know what? I'll take this die. We'll stay in winter for another round, and I can hopefully make up for it. You know, so many good decisions like that. It really is one I enjoy. It's fiddly with that score track in the cubes, but I have upgraded it with some like plastic crystals, so it's a bit easier. You know, if you want to substitute your own method of scoring in there without that horrible score pad, then go ahead. But it's just beautiful. Other than the score pad, it's well produced, but beautiful, interesting, fun mechanics. It's just a great one. I mean, this one has been high on my list ever since it came out, and it ain't going to go any lower. Well, it certainly ain't going to drop in the bottom half, I would like to think. Seasons, number 35 has dropped. Hold on. Nope, sorry. Yep, 36. Sorry, we're on 36, and it's... Oh, this is a big rise. I mean, you heavy game fans, I mean, this is going to be your, like, holy grail of this list, okay? The fact that a heavy game has risen 35 places to get to this number. In fact, is that the biggest riser on my entire list? I probably, yeah, by a long shot, this is my highest rising game. And it's surprising in some respects, but I have warmed up to it more and more. I thought it was going to fall off my top 100, but I started playing it a bit more, came up with other ways to play it. It just got a bit more enjoyable as I got more used to it, and the Norwegians expansion has really upped this, and that's a Feast for Odin. Feast for Odin, at first I thought, the strategies are getting a bit repetitive. I still don't know how to make exploration work. You know, emigration is kind of a boring one to go for. Everybody wants to raid and pillage. You know, and animals sucked. They were unbalanced. And the occupations, you know, you either drew a good one or you drew a rubbish one. There were some issues with it that threatened its life in my top 100. Norwegians has solved most of those problems. I mean, animals are now a viable strategy, and you have more types of them. You have like a personal shed like side thing that you can build, and it's your own thing. It makes you slightly different. You have like rejigged some of the strategies of the exploration boards and the emigration. You have some additional tiles you can go for. It's like it's kind of even an additional column that you can put your guys in, and a way to get victory points for dud occupations. It does so much to fix the problems I had with the original base game that I will not teach this without Norwegians. In fact, I'm not even sure I want to play this game without Norwegians. You know, I want Norwegians in the game, or I don't want to play it. That's how good the expansion is. And as I say, it's risen 35 places. I don't think it will rise any higher. Nah, probably not. But I reckon it's going to settle somewhere in the middle of my top 100, maybe in the sort of top of the lower half of it, but it's certainly not in any danger of falling off now, because I've warmed up to it more, and the expansion has done a lot for it. So yeah, come on, heavy game, feast for Odin. 35, now we're on there, dropped 5 places again. 5 places, whatever. This is a game that people have kind of got sick and tired of me talking about on a lot of lists, because they see me talk about it, but they go, Luke, we can't get hold of this game, so why do you keep talking about it? Well, because I like it. I mean, can't I do that? But a new version of this is coming out. It will probably hit American and hopefully UK markets, so you will be able to get it. Though I am a bit concerned of whether the production quality will be the same, like similar sort. You know, are they going to do something in the graphic design or something to make it worse? I don't know. Personally though, my version of Coffee Roaster is still sitting proud on my shelf from the Korean board games, I think they're called. I don't know, it's a Korean company. Found it in Essen. Knew nothing about it. I think Eric Summerer mentioned it briefly on the live Dice Tower show. I went to the Korean stand. A lovely little lady showed me how to, lovely little girl showed me how to play it, and I was hooked. I bought a copy there and then. Well, actually, they had to get it in the next day, but I went back in the morning and said, can I buy it? Yes, thank you. And I love it. It's a brilliant, easy solo game about making coffee. Such a simple theme, but it's a bag building game. You draw you set up the bag based on what coffee you're making. You know, difficulty rating, or the different coffees have different setups. You draw tokens out of the bag, and you have to do stuff with the tokens to manipulate the bag in such a way that when you're ready to brew the coffee, you draw 10 tokens out, lay them in your cup, and you're hoping to get a certain rating of coffee whilst also getting like certain flavorings, certain characteristics. It's a simple but really cool little puzzle game. Yeah, it's got luck, it's bag building, but it's so simple. You play it in like 10 minutes a game. You can play a free game like little campaign thing where it ups and tweaks the difficulty a bit depending on how you're doing. It takes you 30 minutes. It's a quick solo game. It would make a great app, but I'm excited the fact that there is a new version of this coming out. I guarantee you, if it appears in the UK market, I will try to get a proper review of this game done for you, because I never reviewed Coffee Roaster because it was kind of hard. Actually, did I? I don't think I reviewed Coffee Roaster. If a new edition comes out though, I will do my absolute best to get a copy and do a review for you guys, because I think this one deserves the love. Okay. Right, we got 3 new debuts now, guys. This is, the other 4 are in the 20s. These 3 are in the 30s, 3 in a row. So let's start with Garp Hill Games first. Now, with Garp Hill Games, there's a few to pick from, but in this instance, it's one that I've only just started playing more recently. Since Garp Hill Games did a sale on their website, I bought every single base game and expansion and accessory for this game, metal coins, a playmat. And I remember playing it ages ago and thinking, this is pretty good, but then I kind of left it alone and never went back to it. Now I've bought everything, I've played it some more, and of course, yeah, why didn't I get this earlier? Raiders of the North Sea. I've actually just recorded before the gym, I recorded a solo play of the Direwolf digital app, so you'll probably have that uploaded already by now, so I hope you're enjoying that video. But Raiders of the North Sea is a great, simple worker placement game. Now, I admit, it would be lower down the list if I didn't have the expansions, because it's a good game without any of the expansions, but it's pretty simple. There's not a huge amount of options in what you can do, but it's still a great, simple worker placement game, where you're basically setting yourself up in a village, getting crew with all different abilities, then going off and raiding for plunder. Basically, what every Viking game you ever played. But the expansions add some cool extra elements, like getting mead, which gives you temporary strength bonuses, other ways to get people, ways to do quests, ways to fight against other chieftains. It's got a lot more in those 2 expansions, and it kind of completes the whole package for me. It's like, if you release Raiders of the North Sea in a new printing, you need to have these 2 expansions in the game to up the variety of the cards, to give you more options of how to play it, you know, to spread everything out. It's a fantastic game. And with that playmat, you've seen some of my photos go out on Instagram or, you know, Facebook recently. Isn't it just one of the most beautiful playmats you've ever seen? Granted, there are better. We'll get onto those maybe in another video. But oh, it's so good when I lay that playmat out and it's got the both expansion stuff laid out. It's gorgeous, well produced. You know, granted, I don't like the other 2 games that are in the list. You know, there was Raiders, and then there was Explorers and Shipwrights. One of them's okay, the other one was a bit bleh, wasn't a fan. But, you know, in the trilogy, it's nice that the first one was like the big hit. Maybe we'll talk more about the next trilogy later, we'll see. Okay, number 33, and this is a Mind Clash game. And we had a Mind Clash game earlier with Tricarion. This is my second favourite Mind Clash game. And this one is one that's a bit divisive for some people, because many sort of like look at it and go, I don't know, it's not for me, it plays weird, it's too complicated, and it's like, I don't get when some of these heavy Euro players claim it's too complicated when you look at some of the stuff they play.
There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? What?
At least this one has a great theme, gorgeous artwork, and interesting mechanics. I'd rather play this over half of your 3 to 4 hour economic games any day. But this is Cerebria, the Inside World. It's this weird kind of team-based game, which I describe as Inside Out, the board game. You know, that really cool Pixar movie. Seriously, if you haven't watched Inside Out, go watch it. It's amazing. You will cry. But the game itself has you pitting like 2 positive emotions against, positive like avatars against 2 negative avatars. And it's not like it's evil or good. It's the fact that emotions are like that. You've got your positive and your negative emotions. You need them all in balance. But the idea is that it's an area control game, and you're working with your teammate by leveling up your avatar, gaining new abilities, but while also placing these emotion cards on the board that do different things, give you different powers, but you're trying to control the different areas of this like sort of dreamlike world. And as the game progresses, you're looking to meet certain objectives, both personal in your team and public, where, you know, if you meet the condition, this tower builds up in the middle, and at the end of the game, you score based on how many pieces of your color are in that tower, as well as a few other things. It is a very complex game. The rulebook's pretty good, actually, for what complexity it is, and I do recommend you watch, like, I don't know if Paul Grogan did a video for this, but, you know, Grogan, Rodney, if they've done videos, by all means, watch their stuff, because you need to get everything in your head. But, oh yes, it's richly thematic, very engrossing. I have played it as a free player where you use the expansion and have 3 different factions going. I played it one-on-one. It's great. Works really well as a 2v2 where you work with your teammate and go, right, well, maybe you focus on this. I'll focus on this. Hang on, these are the cards we're sharing. It brings a little bit of a co-op element, but you've still got the competitive edge of your opposing players. And did I mention it looks gorgeous? Absolutely gorgeous. Now, the card game was kind of not exactly that brilliant, but yeah, it was okay. But oh, this big game, I love it. Some friends of mine want me to teach it to them. I am waiting for them to hurry up and free up their schedule, because annoyingly, when you got kids, it's hard to free up your schedule. But as soon as they're ready, prepare for me to teach Cerebria. It's a fantastic game. Not my favorite Mind Clash game. We'll get onto that a bit later. And then the third one, the third new debut on this chunk of 3, the 4th one out of the 8 on this list. This is a rival to another sort of deduction game. It's hit home like crazy, and it's wonderfully innovative in that it uses your smartphone as a scanning app to look at all the different clues, to talk to people while figuring out a murder mystery or some other type, detective case. And that is Chronicles of Crime. It's very good narrative, nice sort of, it's difficult without being too complex. It's not like you have to be like a Mensa genius to work these things out, but it's not a cakewalk that all you have to do is just talk to everybody in sight and it works, you know. You've got a timer of how long you can do things, but it works by all these QR codes. And, you know, when you want to talk to somebody about a specific thing, you scan the person, and it's like, well, what do you want to talk about? And then you scan the other person that you want to talk about, and it's like, oh yeah, we used to date, and it's so sad that he's dead, you know. And it just creates this story. You can go about each mission in different ways, and then at the end, you've got to answer questions and see how you've done. And as with most detective games, I'm not very good, but I always go off on tangents and like sort of go, oh yeah, this is a really interesting bit. Oh, it wasn't relevant? Oh. So I really do that a lot.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
But, you know, when you play it with people, it's great. But, oh yeah, I mean, I need to show this to some friends of mine, actually. They weren't a fan of, like, heavier deduction games, but I reckon this one might work well with them. But I love playing it as a solo game, just a nice, simple solo detective game. Really good. They're bringing out expansions, like a noir one and a sort of backstreet thing, ghetto one. I'm not sure how to describe it. You know, the hood. But it's got a lot of replay value. It's got plenty more to come. It's a great game. Chronicles of Crime. And, oh, we're on to my favourite Lacerda game. Yes, Vital Lacerda, as I say, I love his games, does some great heavy designs, even though not all of them are great, in my opinion. This is easily now my favourite. This one is not only engaging, it has some excellent sort of turn order shuffling mechanics in the sense that, you know, it's not always just you go, I go. It's like, oh, you can jump the turn order a bit. And it's got a good, interesting theme. It is a thematic game. It rewards you with cool little bonuses. It's the Gallerist. The one that I haven't talked about yet right behind me. This is easily my favourite because it does two things in particular. One, for a heavy game, it's easy to play and learn. You know, once you've got the step-by-step sequences of how, like, certain actions work, it's not that difficult to actually play the game. It's more how to do well. And the rulebook is really good. Paul Grogan had a hand in this one, I know he did. And it shows, you know, the rulebook is set out right. I can reference things easy. It's like, oh, wait, I need to find out that rule. Oh, yeah, there it is. But even just reading through the rulebook and learning it from the ground up, it's like, this makes sense. This makes sense. The graphic design is easy to follow. It just works nicely. But I also love how the game rewards you for pretty much everything you do. Not quite like a point salad where you get points for everything, but you know, you discover a new artist, you get a little tile with a little bonus on it. It might give you a coloured meeple, might give you some more cards, might give you some victory points later in the game, but it gives you a little reward, something that you might actually purposely aim for. And then you go, oh, I'll level up that artist a bit. I'll go to the radio station. Let's see, I'll spend some influence. I'll level up this artist. And, oh, I get a little bonus for doing it. All right, I'll take some of these endgame tiles. And it's like, that means I'll score victory points for doing something different from other players. And, oh, I get a little bonus for that as well. And it's just, that feels good. You know, I hate it when games basically go, oh, you've done all that hard work. Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, fine. Well, what? I did all that hard work. Give me something for it. And it's even worse when you get some of the stupidly heavy games, you know, the economic ones particularly, where it's kind of like, oh, you did all that hard work. Oh, well, it still hit you. It's like, seriously, it's like, stop punishing me for unnecessary things. And stop overly punishing me just because I made a harmless mistake. The Gallerist kind of does the complete opposite of that. But looks gorgeous, well produced, good theme, thematic play. It is easily my favourite from Vital Lacerda. It's the most accessible. You know, I think, you know, people go on about Escape Plan being, oh yeah, this is fair, this is one of his lighter affairs. I'm sorry, I can easily understand the Gallerist a lot better than Escape Plan. And I hate Escape Plan, I love the Gallerist. The gap is wide between those two for me, believe me. Definitely worth playing if you haven't already. 31, the Gallerist. Okay, after the Gallerist, we got a few more that aren't new debuts. So, oh yeah, I mentioned the Gallerist. The Gallerist had climbed 7 places. Yeah, it's going up for me. I love this game. It doesn't even need an expansion. I just think it's a solid game. But my number 30, the top 30% of the list. This one has climbed 4 places. It remains pretty stable. I love a good negotiation game. If you want to make the negotiation game crazy and zany, then even better. But as much as One Night Werewolf and things like that have kind of dropped off for me because it's like the same thing every game, Cosmic Encounter is nothing like that. Oh my god. The amount of aliens and stuff I have in this game, no game ever turns out the same. The combination of aliens throws the game completely off kilter. One game might be hyper aggressive, one might be completely like pacifist, one might have tons of negotiation, one might have so much interaction between players that you're outright screwing each other over like crazy. It is just a phenomenal negotiation game. Easily, like, got the Fantasy Flight 42nd anniversary weird version or something, you know, where it upped the component quality a bit, but I've got all the expansions with it. I've got loads of different, I can have up to 8 players. Not something I want to do often, but it's a fantastic 5 or 6 player game. And the laughs I have with it. You know, the ADM powers just create some of the most funniest game experiences ever. And you've still got that negotiation aspect, you know, because you're sort of saying, right, well, so-and-so's green is fighting purple. Do you want to come on my team? You know, it'll be nice. So I was like, what are you listening to him for? Get off. You know, and everyone's arguing. Everyone's like, in a good way. You know, this is not one for quiet people by far, which is probably why I'm good with it. You know, noisy man that I am. But, oh, yeah, such good negotiation game. 30 cosmic encounter. Yeah, I love this one. And what did it do? It climbed 4 places. Like I say, it's going to remain steady, I think, around this area, or at least certainly stay in the top half. Okay, next one. We have one that is actually... Oh, this is quite a climber, actually. 12 places it's climbed. I think it debuted last year? I'm not sure. Did it? Let's see. Did it debut? It did. It debuted last year, and since then, it's just gotten better. You know, I've really enjoyed it. It just seems to do exactly what I want in this trilogy of games. We first had the Manhattan Project. Lastly, we had the 2 Minutes to Midnight. I like the first one. Kind of a bit meh on the third one. It's a bit too long, a bit too cutthroat. But Energy Empire is easily the best of the 3. I love this game. It has just climbed since it debuted on the list. And with an expansion coming later this year, more variety, more content, cannot wait. But this is a cool worker placement game where you're actually trying to stop polluting the planet, but you can work with nukes and things, well, nuclear power and stuff like that. But you're basically building these factories and generating power in order to do actions via worker placement. It has the great Manhattan Project style of worker placement where you put out your workers and then eventually you take them all back to trigger some alternative phase. But throughout you're thinking, that guy is sitting on the space I want. I don't want to pay the energy to go there. Hurry up and take your guys back. I'm going to do this for now. And he's gonna take his workers back now. He's removed. Right, get on there now. It's like timing is key, but you've got lots of different ways to play. You've got asymmetrical powers. The dice are really cool. They're custom, and you know you might go really green and go for solar and wind power, and by doing so, you're rolling dice and you're not polluting your area like an area with negative point markers on it, but you're not generating as much power either to do various building actions. You could go the whole hog and go for coal, another one, oil and nuclear. They'll generate a ton of power for you, but you're going to be littering your area, your land, sea and air with a ton of waste, possibly nuclear, which is even worse. But in doing so, you're like, well, I've got a lot of power to do stuff, so hopefully I can clean it up later and get those points back. It's wonderfully thematic, but it's engaging, but also quite simple as well. I mean, the graphic design is simple to follow. The buildings aren't difficult to tell what they do. You've got events, they're easy enough to follow, and they trigger at certain times during the game and affect everyone. It's just a phenomenal worker placement game. This is possibly my favorite from Minion Games. In fact, hang on, I'm on the wrong... there we go. That's better. Slight technical hitch there. But yeah, you know, this is easily my favorite from Minion Games. I just love it. It's such a cool game. I think this will be about where it sits on the top 100. Although maybe it might climb if this Cold War expansion is up to scratch. I didn't kickstart it, but I'm going to get it when it comes out. And hopefully it'll, I think it's in the other room actually, you know, it'll bring it to the table even more. But it has a great solo mode. It has, you know, decent multiplayer, even up to 5 players, even though it can be a bit long with 5. But it's got one of the best written rule books ever. You know, this is not one that Grogan or Roddy Blade have sort of come across. This is just a well-written rule book. Learning the game was an absolute breeze. You know, you want a poster child for a good rule book, this is it. But the game itself is definitely worth learning and picking up. Energy Empire from the Manhattan Project. Number 28 has fallen 16 places. Yeah, this has kind of dropped a bit for me. It doesn't get played as often as it used to, but I still really like it. I think the problem is that with all the expansions, it's a bit of a sort of beast to try and set up exactly which one I'm doing. But I still love it. It is a great co-op game. It is the first game I ever reviewed on the Broken Meeple. the first one, my first written review. It's still going strong. It's still a great gateway co-op game, but you can make it sort of a bit more complicated for gamers with the new expansions and maps. You've got a new event deck with that replaces the hotspot markers, which is even better. But like I say, it hasn't got to the table as much, even though it's in a cool crate behind the Scythe one, and that is Flashpoint Fire Rescue. Still really like this one. It's got a great theme, it causes a great amount of laughs, scales well for players, although, well, yes and no. It gets a lot more difficult with more players, but it's still fun to play regardless. People are shouting at one or two people because they keep rolling bad stuff on the fire dice. You can't get complacent with this game because you'll be thinking, oh yeah, we got this, you know, look, everything's all night. It's all going and then it all goes to pot, and suddenly like everything's blowing up, things are on fire, you know, toilets are spontaneously combusting, the cat's being roasted alive, you know, and suddenly it all goes to pot. But oh, it's a great co-op. I do love this one. I wish it could get to the table more, hence its drop. But like I say, there's also been a lot of great games, and there's only room for so many. But Flashpoint Fire Rescue, if you want it, like one of the best co-ops I've played, then check this one out. 27. This one has fallen 7 places. Big deal. It was 20, it's now 27. Not really that big a deal, but the expansion has certainly helped keep it at this level. This is a fantastic, I suppose you call it, yeah, it is a social deduction game in a sense, because you are trying to work out who the 1 or 2 bad guys are. But this is the one that people claim has replaced Mysterium. It does not replace Mysterium because Mysterium is still on my shelf going strong. However, Deception, Murder in Hong Kong is still a fantastic game with that similar twist of a good guy giving clues out to people but not being able to talk. But this one just ropes in people so well. The expansion adds new roles and lots more cards for a bit of variety, but it's this great social deduction game where a bad guy's committed a murder and the good guys have to try and work it out based on a forensic scientist's clues, but he can't talk. He has to bring out these tiles with keywords on them and use, like, you know, markers to say, what was the state of the corpse? It was intact, you know, horrible, burnt, you know, that kind of thing. And it gets people involved from the get-go. One of the biggest problems with a lot of social deduction games, things like the Resistance and that, is that you have no information from the start. Secret Hitler and all those fall into this trap and all. You know, you don't know what to do from the start. You just go, yeah, we're going to tank this mission. It doesn't matter. You know, we don't know anything. I need to see what happens. I need to assess how people vote. And it's like, that does not work. This one, though, as soon as those 6 clues come out, when you can see all the weapons and pieces of evidence around each player, the second you say go, everybody chimes in with their theories on who they think it is, how they've done things. It's like, right, well, it's poisoning. So there's a venomous needle over there, venomous scorpion there. You could have chloroformed somebody with a rag and a cloth. You could have done that. And everybody gets into it. Everybody starts making deductions. Not one for the quiet players, I'll admit, but it's one of those games where I actually don't mind being on the good side. A lot of these social deduction games, I'm like, please deal me a werewolf, or the bad guy. Here, though, as much as I love being the forensic scientist, or the murderer, you could give me the witness and I'll be perfectly happy. You can give me a normal investigator and I'll be happy, because one side is trying to hide and the other one's trying to do deduction, but you're involved and it's fun no matter what. It's a fantastic game. If you have not played this, then please try. And I've had 1 or 2 people sort of go, this is rubbish, it's too easy or something. Yeah, it's too easy if your murderer sucks. But I have played this game where I've been the forensic and there's been a competent murderer and he's picked 2 items, you know, a murder weapon and an item. I'm like, crud, what am I going to do with this? You know, and you can have events in there, all sorts you can do with this game, but it's just wonderfully replayable. We play it and then people say, can we go again? We might play this 2 or 3 times in a row. You can play it as slow and as fast as you like, depending on how fast you want to moderate it. I love this game. Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. Okay, 26 now. Let's get on to a new debut. Right. I had a bit of a history with this guy. The Vladimir Suchi. I made this slight cock-up on Facebook where I did a review for, I think this game actually, and I made the comment that this was a relatively unheard of designer. You motherfucker! Yeah, that was a mistake. Probably should have done more research, because as much as I don't tend to go for a lot of his games, and I don't, you know, a few of his designs are like, oh, that's meh, not a fan of that game, not a fan of that game. it was a mistake to say that it was an unheard of designer, so yeah, my bad.
We're sorry.
You know, there are one or two designs that I really like from this guy, and this is one of them, Underwater Cities. Underwater Cities is my sort of take on what Terraforming Mars should have been. This whole thing of, you know, building up a tableau in front of you of cards that do cool stuff. You know, Terraforming Mars tried to do that, but it just went on too long. It was luck of the draw even when you drafted. There just wasn't enough variety with the cards. I don't know, it just irked me in the wrong places. You know, I felt that, you know, you weren't doing enough that was interesting to warrant the 3 hour plus time limit. But in this one, it can go to a good 3 hours plus, but most of the time it tends to end between 2 and 3 hours, regardless. But, oh, the card play in this is so fun. There's no theme in this whatsoever, though. I mean, you're building underwater bases and you feed yourself on kelp. That's about as close as it gets. You know, the theme is neither here or there. But what you're doing is that you have these locations where it's sort of worker placement. You basically place your, well, it's a tile. I've upgraded it with submarine pieces, but you place your piece on an action space of 3 different colors, yellow, red, and green. And the power of the action is triggered. But, you know, depending on which color you picked, those location actions are, you know, not as effective, well, sorry, not as impactful or really powerful. But you play these cards on there, and with those cards, if you play one of the same color as the location you go on, you also get to trigger the card action. You can do it in any order you like. So you have a hand of cards that will constantly refill, but you might draw more cards, you might end up with a bigger hand size, you might, you know, find action cards that allow you to do cool stuff in front of you, but it's all about combo building. And it's just so addictive to sort of go, right, well, I've got 2 reds and a yellow in my hand. Right, how can I use the red and the yellow locations to best effect? I really could do it going to the green. Am I willing to sacrifice a card action just to go to green, or shall I hope I draw a green card? Yeah, there's a little bit of luck of the draw in that aspect, but it's very tactical. You can't overly strategize that my game is going to be just build tunnels and upgrade them, you know, because as much as that's a good way to do well, you might not get the cards or the actions that help you to build tunnels. You might get something else, and the colors might not phase with you. So you have to react and do the best you can with what you're given. And I know Terraforming Mars tries to do that in a sense, but the problem is that if anybody gets the strategy that works with their corp, their starting corp, then they will do a lot better than compared to somebody who has to keep chopping and changing their strategy throughout the game. But with this one, that card play is so addictive. The production quality could be better, hence I've upgraded the components, but it, like I say, really addictive. Playing those cards, trying to trigger all the bonuses that you can, it's what I tend to do. Everybody plays very different strategies. You know, are you going to build symbiotic cities? Are you going to get those metropolises? Are you going to get points from your action cards? Are you going to, you know, generate points as the game goes on? Are you going to build, like, salination plants, farms, labs? What are you going to do? There's so much variety in this game, and granted, I think they're coming out with an expansion, and I don't want them to complicate it anymore. Just give me more cards. Give me more cards to sift through so I can go, ooh, that power could work. And it's like, ooh, that's a good opportunity. Maybe I should go to green with that. It's really addictive. It's a bug in my head that's just like, Luke, you know you want to play this red card over here because you get to trigger 2 powers. Don't go to yellow. Play this red card. It's like the devil voice on my shoulder telling me to play these cards.
So I say do it. Do it! Do it, do it, do it!
It's not my favorite from Vladimir Suchi, though. But Underwater Cities is a great, heavy Euro. Say, you want the heavy Euros? They're on this list, guys. Now, I said it wasn't my favorite Vladimir Suchi game. That's because my next game, which has dropped 9 places, but whatever, is my favorite Vladimir Suchi game. It's like, conveniently, they've ended up next door to each other on the list. That was not intentional. But this one, I shouldn't like this game. I don't mind point salads, but it depends how you do them. But this one is super dry, super themeless. Is basically just the point salad of point salads, where everything you do gets points, but you have so many options of what to do. It's clean, it's streamlined, it still gives you a good amount of variety. Like, the technologies will be different every game. The dice mechanic of drafting the dice and moving along certain tracks for turn order and like getting industry cubes or whatever they're called is intriguing, because you're thinking, I want to take that high number, but then I'm going to shoot all the way down on there and that's going to be a problem. But, Pulsar 2849, what is it with this game? I don't know, but I love it. There's so much choice, you know, and it's not stupidly complex. I mean, there's no theme in it, but I guess being in space helps with me. I don't know. I do like space themes. But wow, I could be doing transmitters. I could be doing the spinny gyrodynes. I could just fly around the map and explore planets. I could just, I could focus entirely on my home tech tree. I could focus on the tech tree, the one over there. It's like I could get points by some combination of these techs along with other bits. It's so much you can do. The game state will change every game because you'll be in different places. The exploration tiles will be everywhere. Different technologies will come out. Different goals will come out. It's just, there's a lot going for this game, but a lot of it comes down to the streamlined dice mechanics in it. You have 2 dice around. You might get a bonus die, but what action you do is based on the fixed number on the die. None of this 3+ nonsense. It's like, you want to do this action, you need a 2. You can modify them in certain ways, but you need a 2. None of this 2+ thing. It's just 2. Do it or bust. And when you're taking the dice, you roll them all at the start, and depending on how they're arranged in this, it's kind of like the medium marker effectively, depending on how many lows and highs you roll, the rounds will change as a result. It's just a very addictive point salad game, and like I say, I have no reason to believe why I like this so much, but it just seems to poke me in the right places, and it is my favorite of Vladimir Suchi's range. So Pulsar 2849 was 16. Like, wow. It has come down a bit, mainly because it's difficult to sell people the game because production quality could be a little bit better. It does look very dry, very abstract, but when I get people into it, they're usually good likers of this one. Pulsar 2849. 24, we have 3 more debuts left, so 4 more games to talk about. 3 new debuts. This is one of them. This is from Colossal Games, and like I say, thematic games I love. Not usually the biggest Western fan, but some Western games do slip the net, and this one, yeah, I think this was a surefire hit to hit my top 100. Western Legends. Western Legends, wow. A sandbox Western style game where I get to choose what I want to do. I am gagging for the expansion Ante-Up to come from fulfillment in September, October time. The fact that they finished ahead of schedule, great. Introducing like robbing a train and high stakes poker and a new location. Oh, it's going to be great. But Western Legends is just, how do you want to play your Western game? You have this map, you can go to like a couple of towns, you can go trade cattle. You can go steal cattle, you can prospect for gold, you can go play poker, you can go round up bandits, you can be a marshal and get rid of the bandits, you can be an outlaw and go rob people, rob the bank and run off somewhere. You can upgrade with weapons, get yourself a shotgun, maybe a rifle, maybe just dual wielding pistols. You need a horse, you need a mule, what else do you fancy doing? It's just, love it. Asymmetrical player power, different goals depending on which character you are, but everybody's doing something different. You interact with each other. You might be in a town and you go, right, well, I'm going to go to the poker house and play some poker and get some legendary points that way. Oh, you're next door. Do you want to join in this one? And you do, and you play it against the opponent. The fact that your hand is built up of action cards, which are poker cards, like Ace of Diamonds does this, and, the 7 does this, the 6 does that. Really cool mechanic. It just is such an enjoyable, thematic, sort of story-driven game. I mean, the story you play through is the actions you take, as opposed to too much of the cards giving you a narrative. But the expansion is going to add more content to it, more things you can do. I cannot wait. But this is a fun game to bring out. It can go a bit long with too many players, but 3 or 4 is a really good sweet spot, and I'll play it with more, but 3 and 4 is a great sweet spot to have this just wonderful sandbox experience. And for someone like me who's not a massive Western aficionado or major Western game fan, for this one to sing to me, yeah, love it. Sandbox games are great to play. This is no exception. Western Legends. 3 more. 23 is my highest Portal game on the list. So well done, Ignacy. You've had a fair few high ones here. But for your highest game to be 23, that's good going. It's a new debut, and it's so new. In fact, I think this is probably the most recent game that entered the top 100. It takes it takes a game of several years old and improves on it. Gives it a few extra mechanics, streamlines some rules, gives you decks that you don't have to deck build. It is a refinement of an already great game, which was Imperial Settlers. It is Empires of the North. Empires of the North just is so smooth, silky smooth. You have your deck of cards. I mean, it's a similar engine builder to Imperial Settlers. You know, you put guys on buildings, trigger them to get points, but there are some changes from Imperial Settlers that elevate this one. You have a rondel that changes every game with actions that you can do anywhere between 2 to 4 times in a round, depending on what resources you've got. You've got a deck for your faction. All the factions play out very differently, but you don't deck build. Your deck is your deck. That's it. I love it. I don't have to do this deck building nonsense. I just take the faction I want to do, and all the cards are there, and they're not going to change. And more factions will come out in the future. You can sail to distant lands and get some bonuses, or you can pillage their land and, you know, take them over and have a special ability in front of you. You've got the cool combo building and engine building stuff that Imperial Settlers is known for, except it works a bit smoother here. You're not playing 5 rounds or whatever it is in Imperial Settlers. You're racing the 25 points. So the game can be very quick, and the downtime's not that long either. I mean, granted, with 4 players, maybe you're going to get the analysis paralysis person, and certainly I would deny AP players to play this game. But I played a 2-player game with Ignosti, like literally knowing nothing about it other than what I knew from Imperial Settlers. He taught me the game in, like 5 to 10 minutes, and we played for a 2-player game like stupidly quick. You know, it's like go, 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 go. Stupidly fast. He even complimented me on my speed. I was quite impressed with that. But you know, with 3 players, it's super fast. 4 players, a little bit slower, but it doesn't take that long because you just do one action, then the next player goes, and the actions that you've got are pretty evident in front of you. It's like, you know, I can go sail, do that rondel, you can plan ahead. Yes, there's a little bit of interaction with players, but it's not like in your face. You know, occasionally someone might exhaust one of your buildings. You have to accept this going into it. But if they're exhausting your buildings, they're doing it because you're a threat and they need to bring you back. So what do you expect? But it just looks the part. Great artwork, colourful, pops on the table. This will get expanded up the wazoo in the future with more and more factions. I cannot wait. Well produced. It's an awesome game. I mean, this was a 10 out of 10 when I rated it. And definitely, if you liked Imperial Settlers, but you thought, I could tweak a few things, check out Empires. If you weren't the biggest fan of Imperial Settlers, still check out Empires, because it's different enough that you can sort of go, oh, right, this fixes a few things I didn't like about Imperial Settlers. Right, now I like Empires. Seriously, give this game a try. Number 22, 2 more games left. This is not a new debut, though. This is climbed 5 places. There seems to be a lot of 5 places up and down with this list at the moment. But this is my favourite Uwe Rosenberg game. No, it isn't. Yeah, ominous. But this is still one of my favourite games. This is a fantastic Uwe Rosenberg style farming game. And this is the one that kicked Agricola to the curb. Yes, I know there are some of you out there that are die-hard Agricola fans. And fine, I don't detest the game, but this one kicks it to the curb. And that is Caverna. Caverna, almost like a sandbox-style Euro farming game. Do I want to stay in my cave? Do I want to go farm vegetables? Do I want to go adventuring? Do I want to raise animals? Do I want to build these rooms? Do I want to do mining? Do I want to raise donkeys in my mine? Do I want to have lots of dwarfs or not many dwarfs? Do I want to trade? So much you can choose to do. And I've got the expansion. I don't know if you can see it. Yes, you can. The Caverna expansion, Forgotten Folk. Now I have unique asymmetrical player powers with different setups, different styles of play. Like, I mean, the elves versus the dwarfs versus like the trolls all play very differently. I've even got a halfling promo in there, which is a really cool faction. And it's actually better to teach it with those factions than it is with the base game, because it steers you onto a certain path. You know, certain actions won't be as good for you, so you'll probably avoid them in your first game, and you'll focus on whatever your faction's good at. But, it's, like I say, well produced. All these wooden resource tokens everywhere. But, you know, don't play it with any AP players at all, and certainly don't play it with any more than 4 players if you can help it. But I enjoy it solo, but generally I play this with 3 or 4 players, and I just love the fact that I can look at my board and go, I'm going to build this, and I'm going to build it like that, and here's my animals, and here's my little sheep in a pen, and here's my donkey in the mine. You know what, let's add a few more mines. I want that room. Oh, you took my room, how dare you. Right, I better do something else. I'm going to go adventure. You took my spot, come on. You know, you've still got a bit of that blocking of each other, but it just feels smoother than Agricola, but also less punishing. Because my problem with Agricola is twofold. Firstly, the occupations are unbalanced as all get out, but I think the revised version, the new version that came out, fixed a lot of those, so maybe things have changed. But I don't like how restrictive and punishing it is. In Agricola, you have to get a full family. If you cannot win that game with a basic family, it just will not work. So it forces you to do it. On top of that, the scoring is really punishing, where you lose negative points for all the different things that you could have if you don't have them. Which means that everybody does the same thing. You might approach it slightly differently, but at the end of the day, all of you are going to have some upgrade to your house, a sheep, a cow, a corn, a vegetable somewhere, because you don't want to suffer those negatives because they hurt like hell, and you're capped at certain things. So I can't say I'm going to just farm sheep, do nothing but get sheep, because you'll reach a cap and you won't get any more points for it. Whereas in Caverna, I can go, I'm going to do nothing but farm sheep. Sheep, and you can get all the points in the world for doing it. Will you win? Who knows? But I'm going to have fun doing it. Caverna, I'm sorry, I get if you like Agricola more, but for me, Caverna just beats it hands down. Okay, come on, work with me here. And finally, number 21. This is a new debut. Remember I mentioned Raiders of the North Sea? Yeah, this is the other Garphill Games game that I really enjoy. God knows where it is. Oh no, there it is. Don't know if it's in shot, but Architects of the West Kingdom. I like innovation in games, and what Garphill Games is doing is really throwing a new twist on some of these worker placements. Raiders of the North Sea, where you place a worker and then remove a worker to do stuff. Yeah, that was a pretty good twist. This one though, you have all your workers to begin with, and as you put them on the spaces get more and more powerful the more workers you have there. Okay, that's already pretty cool. It's a standard Euro trope of a theme, you're building up a cathedral, making buildings, getting victory points. But like in Raiders, you're getting townsfolk who have different abilities, so you can chop and change your strategies every game. But what I love in it is this unique thing of the virtue system, where if you're on high virtue, you're blocked out of certain actions, but you're better at others, and vice versa if you're like negative virtue. You're losing points, but you don't have to pay tax, that can be pretty good. But I love that one of the actions you can do is you can round up other people's workers and take them to prison. You get money for doing so, and then unless the other player wants to suffer negative points, at some stage they have to go and get them out of prison. It's kind of a way that you might think it's like, oh, well, you're wailing on people. Yeah, but everyone's doing it to everyone. You will do it to others. It's part of the game, so it doesn't feel punishing. It just feels like it fits with the theme nicely. But it means that you don't have rounds. You don't have this whole, right, well, I'll put a worker out, you put a worker out, la da da da. Right, we've done. Clean up, clean up, clean up. Collect all your workers. No, it just keeps going and going and going. Do you have a lot of workers left? No. That's probably because they're all already on the table, or they're in prison, or stuck on someone's board. You better do something about it. Even though it's a pretty boring theme in a sense, oh yeah, there's a cathedral, whatever, and there's some buildings. But I just love the worker placement in this. It's well produced, just like Raiders of the North Sea is. They're coming out with an expansion later this year. There's a spin-off one, Paladins of the West Kingdom, coming out soon, which I'm intrigued to try. But with the history of the previous trilogy, I don't know if it's going to fall under that same vein of the first one is great and the other two aren't. But there's also an expansion for Architects coming soon as well. So more cards, another craft mechanic apparently. Can't wait for that, but Architects is just solid enough. Plays well with 2 to 5 players. It scales very well. Even 5 players is worth playing. Not as stupidly short as some people make out, like an hour with 5 players, get real. Even has a good solo mode as well. In fact, come to think of it, I think after Small Islands, the next one that was requested by fans was Architects. So I think I'll do a Small Islands tabletop play, and then I'll do an Architects one. But yeah, it's a great one. My favourite Garphill Games one so far. I'm interested to see how Paladins does. Can't wait for the expansion. But innovation in my Euros. This is what I want to see. It doesn't have to completely revolutionise the whole concept, but just that cool twist of putting the people in the prison and having to get them out. It's different. It makes it feel different from other worker placements, and that elevates it for me because it makes me want to come back and experience it again. Simple to teach, simple to play, good variety. Love this one. Architects of the West Kingdom. Whew, my poor little throat and vocal cords. But we're done with the batches of 20 people. We're up to the top 20 games, the creme de la creme of games I love. And I was already going like goo goo gaga over the games I was just doing here, because these are like games I rate a 10. Well, these are also games I rate a 10 for the next 20. These are games I absolutely adore. And trust me, ranking these was hard. It was painful to try and go, oh, that one or that one, I don't know. They're both so good. It really got difficult. But there'll be 2 more videos for the rest of this top 100 and an aftermath video. The aftermath one will talk about the games that didn't make the top 100, like very quickly just run through them without pictures and stuff. But the next 2 videos will be going through 20 to 11 and 10 through 1. They will be done in batches of 10. But the difference between these videos and those is that, as well as having the title card, I will also try to put up some pictures of the game itself and maybe talk about them in a little bit more detail. So, the link for the video from a 20 to the one with the 10s should be about the same, but you'll have more visual aids to help you with these top 20, because I think that, like I say, these are the creme de la creme of games I love. They deserve a bit more attention. There are two new debuts still yet to come. And, well, is there a new number 1? You'll have to wait and see. But, oh, I cannot wait to talk about these games. They are so good. Cannot wait. Anyway, hope you've been enjoying this top 100. I'm going to shoot off and get on with editing this video so that I can release around Tabletop Scotland time. But I hope you're enjoying these top 100s. I'm getting good feedback from you guys. It's been, you get the occasional downvote on these videos, and to be honest, I still don't know who bothers to do downvotes on videos, because it's not showing pornographic material, it's not showing minors, there's nothing in there that's offensive. So why would you downvote a video? I don't know. It's a stupid ranking system anyway, but the majority of you have great debates in the comments. I love what you guys are saying, whether you like these games or hate these games. I like the fact that you're talking about them. It gives me something to engage with. A lot of YouTubers I find don't engage with their commentators, with their fans that much. I like to try and respond to as many of, if not all, the comments as I can. It kind of depends if I have anything to say or if I have time, but I try to respond to a lot of them, particularly if they're like debating games in a nice and mature fashion. But like I say, it sounds like you're enjoying these, so 2 more to go plus an aftermath, and then we rest for another year until I have to do this again in 2020. Whew, it's a lot of work. But it'll be good to get back to some top 10s though, because I've got some top 10s on line up. I'm going to get my Patreons to do a vote in the near future for some of them, which ones am I going to do next, and yeah, there's cool stuff on the horizon. So that's it for me. I'll see you on the next batch of the top 100, and whether you like these games or not, just remember, they're still only games. So just like what you like, I like what I like, we can talk about it, and we can all just enjoy the hobby. Take care, see you soon.